Hi, I'm Rich with OC Specialty Coatings. Today we're going to talk about the proper tools necessary to get your epoxy installation job done right. The first thing that I recommend is to get a good drop cloth floor protector in place. The one that we recommend is Quick Drop. It's very thick, which will stop any coatings from penetrating through the protection that you're putting on the floor. And it's also nice and wide but still streamlined so that you can lay out your materials, get them ready to be mixed, and then also it's not very wide, so you have easy access to it once it is laid out on the floor. It's very economical, they last a long time, and they fold up nice and easily, as you can see here, for storage in your truck. Okay, now that you've got your floor protected and have your workstation set up, it's time to start mixing. So to get accurate mixing ratios, it's recommended that you use what's called a mix and measure. These are plastic containers that have measurements on the side so you can properly mix your epoxy to the correct ratio, whether it's 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1. You have different sizes. You have a 2.5 quart, you've got a 5 quart, and a single quart mixing cup. So again, these are used to measure out side A, side B, mix them together, and get them put together in the right proper ratio so that the material will cure properly. So once you've got it measured and ready to put it together, you're going to need your mixing tools. And so this is a 5-gallon mixer. They come in different sizes and shapes. 5-gallon, 1 gallon, and we also have a different style where you have a metal with a more of a rounded and fins on the side. So these mixing tools will help you get the epoxy mixed properly, because what the last thing you want to do is have spots that are cured or spots that are not cured, and then you got to go over it again and redo it, okay? And again, these are referred to as drill mixers, jiffy mixers, paint mixers, but they go on the end of a drill and they allow you to mechanically mix the epoxy thoroughly. Here's another sample, power mixer, this one's called. So these are all tools that are used for the mixing. You're also going to need a bigger bucket. So once you've got your epoxy poured out in the right increments, you would use these larger buckets to pour the epoxy in, scrape it out real good, and then use your mixer inside the bucket. And then once that's done, as most epoxies, you're going to want to get it poured out of the bucket and onto the floor as quick as possible, and then you're going to start using your application tools. Okay, so now that you've got your epoxy mixed up and ready to go, here's where the work begins, is the application. So most of the time you're going to want to use some good gloves, relatively thick. They're a nitrile. I think these are 6 mil, and they're going to be nice and thick. They're not going to break on you, and they'll protect your hands from getting the epoxy and on your hands, because this stuff can be a little tough to get off your hands once it's dried on there and stuff, and it's a little sticky as well. The next thing you're going to want to start doing is getting yourself equipped to be able to walk out on the floor. We have a couple different types of cleats or spikes that are used generally to be able to walk out into the coating while you're spreading it, or if you're chipping it. We have a kind of econo version that are used straps, as you can see here. Those will be set to fit your feet, and they're not very much money. If you don't do this every day, that's probably going to work for you. If you're a professional, you're going to want to get something like this that slips on and off relatively easy, so you can move in and out of the spikes as needed while you're applying your coatings. The other thing that you're going to need is some squeegees, or well, in this case here, what some guys will use is a 24-inch metal rounded edge smoother slash spreader. This can even be used as well to scrape chips if necessary. So this is a popular for the professional. It does cost a little bit more money. And then stepping down from there, the magic trowels, and again these come in different sizes. You have a 22-inch, an 18-inch, what's called the magic trowel squeegee. This is used for spreading your epoxy. Epoxy is very thick and it doesn't roll easily, it doesn't spread easily, so you want to get the epoxy put in place out on the floor before you start to roll it, and this will help you do that. And you also have a serrated edge type of squeegee where when you push the epoxy, it's going to leave more of the epoxy at the right mill thickness you're looking for. Some of these flat squeegees require a little more skill set, something that you may not have if it's your if you're a do-it-yourselfer. So you can also use a V-notch squeegee in the right V-notch thickness will give you the mill thickness that you're looking for when you're putting down the coating. So now that you've got your gloves and your cleats and your squeegees, put the epoxy down on the floor, and now you got your application tools. You're going to need a extension pole that you're going to use with a 18-inch handle. You simply screw this on, okay? You're going to want to put your 18-inch roller cover onto the handle, and then now you'd be ready to back roll your epoxy and before you would put flake, or if you're just going to leave it as a solid color, you would be, finishing it off with that. You're going to need brushes for the edges. A lot of guys will use the cheaper chip brushes. They're a little more economical, but because the material is very thick and sticky, I prefer a 3-inch with a little stiffer bristle, and the bristles, because it is a little better quality brush, you won't have the bristles coming out into the epoxy. So you'll need some brushes. A lot of guys also use a weenie roller or hot dog roller setup to do the edges. You just need a smaller frame, and as you can see, it's a 4-inch roller cover, and they're pretty tight. 3/8 snap is what you use for most of this stuff, including the 18-inch. I recommend 3/8 snap. We carry 3/8, half-inch, 3/4, whatever you're comfortable with, but you don't want to put too much epoxy down, so that's why you don't want to use anything too thick. Then once you're done with that, and another item you might want to consider, if you do need to get on your knees for grinding, that would be more in the preparation or doing the edges. Knee pads are always good to have for extended periods of time where you're going to be working on your knees. You might be doing coving, that kind of stuff as well. Finally, after you've got your epoxy rolled out, brushed out, applied onto the floor, it's going to be time to clean up. So don't forget, out here in Southern California, the only really compliant solvent you have for cleanup would be acetone. So don't forget your acetone. And of course, you're going to need some rags to wipe your hands, wipe your tools, clean off any areas that you got epoxy on that it didn't belong there. So that's just a general overview of the tools that's necessary for a successful installation of an epoxy floor, whether it's chip or just a solid color. You can use these for other deck coating applications. Again, some of this stuff is a little bit more geared towards a contractor, but even if you're a do-it-yourselfer, we have economical solutions to help you get your project done and get it done successfully. So thank you for your time. Just to mention, all these products can be purchased at our location of OC Specialty Coatings in Anaheim at 148 East Orangethorpe Avenue. You can call us, order them, and we can ship them to you, or you can place orders at OCSpecialtyCoatings.com. So thank you for your time, and again, as I said before in our previous videos, Your success is our business.